Welcome back to La Plagne. Bel retour à La Plagne, everybody, for the second and deciding heat. Race 4 of the BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup. We're back at the 92 Olympic venue for the Albertville Games for the first time in 5 seasons, but some very familiar names in the frame. Hello, everyone. I'm Martin Haven. Alongside me is Australian slider Jackie Narracott. And Jackie, in the last 3 races here, Martin Stukur's Alexander Tretyakov have been in the medals, but in third place in our first heat, a brand new name.
Jisoo Kim from Korea, sliding incredibly well this week. Actually, it's had a really good season. Hopefully, this might be his first medal.
Yeah, he's looking very strong indeed, ahead of teammate Sunbin Jung as well, which is never a bad place to be. Martin Stukur's won the last 3 races, the only 3 that have been held here this decade. He's in the frame as well in second.
Unsurprisingly, just track record until Tretyakov came down, and sliding incredibly well, incredibly consistent, and very fast at the start too.
Yeah, very fast at the start. It's the old guys you got to watch out for, take it from me. I'm not fast at the start, but it is the fastest 2 men in the field over the last decade that have dominated this race. But Alexander Tretyakov not only blew the start record out of the water, he didn't, in fact, he blew the track record out of the water to lead by a comfortable margin over Martin Stukur's. He's 32 hundredths up. There's not many times Martin Stukur's is 32 hundredths behind anyone.
No, this is going to be interesting. Could very well be a Russian one-on-one this weekend.
Yeah, yes. Elena Nikitina won in a women's race by a 62 hundredths of a second margin. Alex Tretyakov is halfway there already. But this is a tricky track. It's long, it's fast, 19 corners, lots of G-forces, lots of pressure. However, the 2 most experienced people in the field are in the top 2. Felix Kaisinger, our junior world champion, the Intercontinental Cup champion. He's the man who is looking strong for Germany here. Axel Jung, though, also going very well for Germany. He was on the podium last week. Our World Cup points leader is just outside the top 3, but the gaps at the top of the field are quite large. We'll have to wait and see. It will all come down to the final sled, won't it? We won't know until Tretyakov is on ice whether or not he's going to hang on. But it's a big advantage. And this track is, because it's so seldom raced, or has been so seldom raced recently, almost nobody really knows it. So it's a bit of a lottery beyond the top 2 or 3.
Yeah, pretty much. And which is, it's a good thing. I think it provides for some interesting racing, and no one really knows what's going to happen. And the person who can be the most consistent, which is the same rule for any track, but particularly this weekend, you can put down 2 relatively clean runs.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, our top 20 from the first heat go in reverse order in our second. Both runs count. Total time elapsed decides your finishing order. So no point being glorious and then horrendous, or the other way around. So Sami Meyer is first off. Austin Florian of the USA will be second. Then Florian Auer. No confusion between those 2, obviously. Jerry Rice next up. You just saw him on the exercise bike. And as we get into the top end of our field, ahead of a 3-time medalist in 3 races here, Thomas Stukur's, Vladislav Harris, and all the Korean sliders. 20 sleds in the second and deciding heat. Race 4 of the BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven and Jackie Narracott at La Plagne in France for the first time in 5 years. The men racing here. Sami Meyer kicks off the action.
A little bit slower there on the start time, but settling in nice and well.
It was a little sunnier after the end of the women's race. It's clouded over again. I wonder if the track temperature is going to start to drop a fraction. They look like they've spritzed the track. Nice sheen on the ice.
It's always nice when you look at it and it's just shiny. Reasonable looking run so far.
Out of the big double pressure corner 6.
Into 12. Bit of height in the end, but controls it reasonably well. Bit of a skid coming into 14. Hit coming into 15, but decent speed coming into 16 here.
Speed at the bottom, 126 kilometers an hour and growing. Tries to keep his head tucked on the waist line. And you see so many times, Jackie, the relative inexperience of most of the sliders. They're always looking up. They're never quite confident of where they are.
Yeah, and that comes with experience. That comes with and comfort too, and trust in your own ability.
1 minute 1.9 first heat, 1 minute 1.3 second heat. So a little quicker despite a slightly slower start. Start group might be getting a little sticky at the top of the track.
Altitude coming into it.
Yeah, well, that too. There's a lot of altitude here, just under 1,800 meters. This is as high as St. Moritz. And we were talking about this between the runs, weren't we? The highest track on tour is?
Park City.
Yep.
So we're a couple of hundred meters below that. Not that you can really tell when you're running.
No. Also dry heat, dry cold. We're not starting with that nonsense again. Sammy Meyer, okay, he is down and done. Austin Florian now, the USA. 19th place after the first of two heats. Like so many of our field, has never raced on this track before. Only 7 men in today's competition raced here in the single heat race in 2015.
Better start that time, can manage to grab a saddle, and there we go.
Well, we'll talk about starts again, remind me, when we get down to Kim Ji-soo. But right now, Austin Florian, and if you didn't see the first heat, missed as he crossed over from holding the sled with his right hand to holding it with his left, and just slipped onto the sled. So this could be a big improvement for him.
And you can see it, like he looks a lot more composed. So it's kind of going a little bit all over the place, but going fast.
Yeah, as long as you don't fight it too much, allow the speed to do what it's supposed to do.
Nice exit there, coming off 15s, into 16, dips down, misses the hit, or just scraps the wall, hit the 17.
Yeah, tiny hit, but that'll keep the speed up. 125.6 kilometers an hour, fraction slower than Sammy Meyer, so the gap's come down from 48 to what, 2/10, 36. Kept the speed alive at the bottom. So he has the lead over Sammy Meyer, and that is 0.3 of a second quicker than his first heat. Well, fell on at the beginning of heat 1, falls off at the end of heat 2. Bedouin Eagles next week when everybody barrel rolls through the foam.
Don't remind me about that outrun next week.
Yeah.
Just trying to fight to stay off the wall there, and then just clips the wall coming into 17.
Down here does much less damage than it would do early on in the run because you're carrying so much more speed.
Yeah.
Not that your shoulder will tell you that, obviously. Race leader Austin Florian, 2 down, 18 to go. All right, so does Austin overhaul Florian? Florian Auer, that is, who finished 2,500 exactly ahead of the American in the first heat, but without a start mishap. Started 5.90 compared to Austin Florian's 5.92 in heat 1, so they're very close at the start, which means they should be relatively close at the bottom.
Theoretically, just at that point, it's a case of who drives better, and he's pretty much equal Austin's start.
Yeah. So he has about 100 quicker, so he's now 26 hundredths up. Let's see how he keeps that speed alive.
Looking good so far, managing to maintain the speed, coming into 6.
Last time we were here, Matthias Guggenberger was sliding for Austria. He's now coaching the sliders. Long skid there, you saw him sway his legs out and try and straighten things up. And again, wild and loose. Yeah, it's decent for speed, isn't it? 125.7, 126.4 from Sammy Meyer.
This is the hit. See whether he can hold it a little bit too much.
And at the line, this could be close to 4/10 ahead. 36 hundredths, that's a good run from Florian Auer to go ahead of Austin Florian. I have to look at the names written downstairs. That's the least gainly dismount we've seen in a while.
Everyone's trying to make the highlight reel.
That'll be you after karaoke later, you know that, don't you?
Not a chance.
Again, big slider. You saw the right elbow coming out early, didn't you? He knew he had a lot of steering to do.
Yeah, just trying to get it back under control.
So when you do, when the elbow comes out, you're holding the rear of the saddle with your fist. What are you actually doing there? You're
just trying to put as much torque as you can into it, just to settle it.
Twisting the sled to try and get the nose to dig in. Okay. Next up, Jerry Rice of Great Britain. 7th fastest starter, but top half was good. Down to 12, down to the entry of 12. He was good. Off 12, it all got away.
If he can clean the bottom up, this could be a really good run.
And now at least he's got an indication of how much quicker the corners are going to come at him in the bottom of the track than they were in training. That may well help.
Definitely.
5.69, fraction quicker than his first start.
Fighting to stay off the wall into four, just clips the entry, but controls it well.
Coming past the luge run in, that's from the men's luge start.
Not particularly comfortable coming off that exit of 6 there, but nothing wrong with it. It's good.
3,200 up, so he's gained a 10th. There's the women's luge start, so we'll drop down into 12.
Nice exit as well there.
And this is so much better than the first run, isn't it?
Better speed. Ooh, rough exit of 15. Oh!
And he's over.
But he's on.
And back on again. But unfortunately, what was a 0.4 of a second lead. So the first heat was good to 12, second heat good until I mentioned it had been good, and 15. The hit and the take on to 15, that's what really A, hurt him, and B, hurt his time as well.
And hopefully his face is all right. There's a lot of blood on that bib.
Yes, there is. Yeah, he's been punched in the face by the track.
Ooh. Shit.
Yeah.
Come on. Okay.
Well,
it's up.
you know what it's like, you know, anybody who's played rugby or any other relative contact sport, when you get hit in the face like that, particularly hit in the nose, that really, that's where he hit, right on the ice.
I think he also hit his sled.
Yeah.
And
then just kind of half blinded, just wrestled his way back on, and the rest of it was a blur, I'm sure.
Yeah. It just that's times when he controlled the second pressure in 16 too much, so then it came down too early, and then you get that last little bit.
Not sure he was seeing where he was going at that stage. Jerry Rice, tough hit from the Plagne track, will leave a lasting memory. Well, next up, Yan Wengang of China. And this was another run that promised to be really quite a lot better than it ended up being. And with so little experience to the track, that's hardly a surprise. Andy Schmidt with a sled. World champion here the year after the Albertville Games, the season after, in fact, in 92.
Good start there.
Yeah, 5.83.
Just little corrections, trying to make sure I maintain it into 4. High on the exit of 4, you can see him across the right side. Just a bit of rush going into 6. Manages to control it nicely. Fighting it, letting go a little bit.
Getting on a little late, isn't he? Just starting to lose his timing. Back under control.
It's a good thing about this track. There's a couple of reset points, which is nice.
Big oscillations in 16, drills the wall on the exit. That robs you some of the vital speed on this relatively flat part at the bottom of the track.
It's downhill, let's see how it goes.
Well, at least you're not going uphill to the line. 60.65, his first heat was 60.60. And he definitely has consistency. A little slow at the start, but the run was a good one.
Just let it get a little bit out of control in that middle labyrinth, and that's the difference. Still gets whipped off 15, even with controlling it. We're just controlling it that little bit too much. And then diving down into the wall.
And the moment he's coming off, he'll know, I dragged it down too early.
Oh, yeah.
Too late then. Next year.
Maybe, hopefully.
Yan of China leads from Auer and Austin. Auer and Florian. Yeah, there we go. One of them's going to have to change their name. Yeah, I'm just going to have to get my stuff together. Alexander Gassner now, silver medal last week. And a track that he knows well, his home track in Winterberg, a career high in World Cup racing.
Doing a lot of steering with his body, trying to keep the sled going.
He was only 300s ahead of Yan from the first heat. And they started in exactly the same time. This is going to be very close.
Better speed coming out of 6 and a much more controlled labyrinth. Nice into 12. Much more controlled run from Gassner. That's all right.
Wild gaps coming down. Speed is good. Ooh, this could be close with Yan of China.
Oh, brushing the wall going into 19.
Alex was just 300s in front. What's he got? 2100s. That's a little better then. 60.47 compared to 60.57 in the first heat.
Still not going to be particularly happy, but always nice to end up in the leaders box.
Yeah, even with that bruise already growing.
Yep.
Well, big difference from a track he knows really well to one that he's, I don't think, slid on before.
High on the exit 15, but not particularly bad coming out. This is where he could have lost a bit of time to coming in. Lots of height in 17, hit the wall where it's flat, and then again coming into 19.
Well, he'll have been looking ahead because he's in a dead heat just about with Kevin Boyer of Canada, just 300ths of a second between them as they battle for 14th and 15th. Alexander Gassner leads. Kevin Boyer now. Whoop. Don't fall off over on the block, yeah. Ice is slippery and so is the block. Let's see what he's got to start. 5:92 first heat. 5:96 in the second. It's not quite as quick, that start area. Of course, Alexander Tretyakov, who goes last, will probably break the start record, having said that now.
There's always one who likes to prove us wrong.
Yep.
Nice line into 5.
Fell over nicely for 6, didn't he? 2500's back, though, losing time to Gassner.
Plenty of track left to get it back. Let's see how he comes through 12 and 14. This is good. Looking more good, more relaxed than his first run through here. Good speed.
Coming back a little, 126.5.
Get through here cleanly.
Fastest is 126.9, Yan of China. Head buried, not sure he's got enough meters left in the ice to catch Alexander Gassner. He's going to drop 2 or 3. 3 places. So his first heat was a 60.54. That's 2200 slower, 60.77, 2300 slower. James Channel offering tea and sympathy, but without the tea.
Just high on the exit of 9 here, then gets kind of thrown into 10. And head smack coming out of 15.
Yeah, and all those late flops, so much energy throwing the body around, and that's leaving the sled and not carrying it down the track.
Gotta make sure as much of the energy as you can manage is going forward.
Yeah.
Just sliding off kills it.
There's a lot of bruised athletes leaving this track.
So many bruised athletes.
Next up, Marcus Wyatt of Great Britain, second of our GB siders in the field.
So
the third Brit, Craig Thompson, did not make the second heat, just missed the cut. Marcus, 4th fastest start. He had 1600s in hand over Alexander Gassner from the first heat.
64 is a great start.
Yeah, that's a very strong start, quicker than his first. Fastest start in the competition was Martin Ducors with a 5:61, so you can see the potential that Marcus Wyatt has got just from being able to sprint like that.
Good speed through 6. Nice lines through the labyrinth too. Smooth through 10 into 11, bit of a skid.
Still with the lead, 4 tenths up. He was 3500s over Gassner from the start. Little rub there.
And again into 15 too.
Not as big a hit as we've seen though. Still 3400s the advantage. 23.
It's gonna be tight.
Still a lot of track left, and it's not accelerating in particularly quickly. Speed 124.4. This is not really quick enough at the bottom of the track for Marcus Wyatt. 200s behind. Wow, that is tight.
Yeah.
But will guarantee him no worse than 14th place. There could still be several changes. Almost everybody in the top 10 is tied with at least one, if not two, and possibly three other people. So we're going to see some sorting out from here on in.
It's high on the end of 12 here. It's a bit of a hit coming into 13, and then same thing coming off 14 into 15. Head up, clip the wall.
The man from Exeter slips a spot, 200s behind Alexander Gassner with 12 sleds to go. And down in 12th place, well, there have been a few first heats where I thought, really didn't think he'd be that high or that low. And for Nikita Tregibov, didn't think he'd be as far down as 12th place. Sergei Chudanov lays the sled on the ice. The 24-year-old multiple junior world champion and Olympic medalist.
Reasonable start.
Yeah, but again, 5.8 is giving away 2/10 to a man who's a decade older.
Yeah.
Who inconveniently is his own teammate.
Good role model.
Well, there you go. Picks up speed now, really starting to motor down this mountain.
Nice exit of 9 there.
You kind of rush down this ravine like some kind of white waterfall, don't you?
And then claim that we've controlled it.
Yeah. 2,600 up from the start, only 1,300 to remain. Now he's starting to consolidate, but he's still not going as quick as Alexander Gassner. And he's fighting the sled every inch of the way, isn't he?
Rough exit out of 16.
It's only the third fastest run of this heat. He's existing only on his first round advantage over Gassner, and that is just enough. So Alex Gassner moves up a couple of spots. Was 15th, will be no worse than 13th. Nikita Tregibov, not yet in the top 10.
I'm not looking particularly impressed with that one either.
No. Oof.
Lots of height on the end and thrown across into 16. Disappears, and then controlling it a lot there coming out of 16.
Really driving hard in 16, wasn't he?
Late off 16. Just that brief touch coming into 19.
Nikita Tregibov, our race leader, with 11 sleds to go. And there's our winner this morning, Elena Nikitina, with her two Russian teammates at the top of the track. Tie for 10th place between Russia's Yevgeny Rukoshwev and Thomas Ducours. Ducours 3 times a medal winner in the last 3 races here. The girls giving him the big one off the top. Let's see if Rukoshwev can produce a quicker start. 5.93, that's actually a little slower than his first.
Needed to take an extra couple of steps on that run, but marathon start, we'll forgive him for that.
Yeah. Now where he makes his money is not in the start, is it? It's all the way down the rest of the track though. And the longer the track, the better he goes. Can't wait to see what he can produce in St. Moritz.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Next week he's probably going to get buried because of the start and the shortest track on tour in Innsbruck. St. Moritz, the longest. Not sure what knowledge he's got of that track, but he'll be quick. Third fastest run at the moment, so he's going to drop behind Tregibov and Gassner. Oh.
Coming back.
Here we go.
Smooth 15-16. This is going to be close.
Very close. We'll have a Russian leading with 10 to go. Wow.
2:10s, wow.
Yeah, Rukoshwev really kept the pace alive there, didn't he?
Yep. That's the difference. The smooth exit from 15 into 16, the speed carries through.
And also didn't steer as much in 16 as Tregibov. Tregibov really hauled it low through 16. Was not liking the height at all.
Late off 12, clip going into 13, but manages to find that in-between line where you're controlling it just enough in 16, but also letting it run. See him shying away from the wall there, not trusting it.
Well, he's learning fast, Yevgeny Rukoshwev. That was a 10th faster than his first heat. Not too many have produced a top 10 run and gone quicker in heat 2. Yevgeny Rukoshwev leads for Russia from Nikita Tregobov and Alexander Gasner. 10 down, 10 to go in La Plagne. Last week we had an entertaining and very tight race in Winterberg, and coming here to La Plagne, sort of thought with so few sliders having any real knowledge of the track, it would be like wide open. But in fact, it seems almost tighter than Winterberg, and probably as many ties in the top 10 as there will be next week in Innsbruck, which is legendary for its ties.
It's interesting. I thought for sure like there'd be a few more gaps. It'd be a little bit not entirely surprised with the spread of sliders and people who aren't necessarily in the top 10 who are making it into the top 10 because it's so inconsistent.
Yeah, experience counts, but not quite perhaps as much as it does at other tracks.
Yeah, when we've got, well, we're into the tens of runs here instead of the hundreds of runs on some of the other tracks. Absolutely right.
Absolutely right. And it's really the two Dukos brothers and Tretiakov, they're, you know, leagues ahead of everybody in experience everywhere, but here it particularly counts because most of the coaches know how to slide this track. Very few of the sliders have ever tried it before, so a lot of those who were in the field here 5 years ago are now on coaching squads. But Rukoshwev going to enjoy seeing the rest of his season. He's a very entertaining slider to watch, just 20 years old, Yevgeny Rukoshwev, so he's got a lot of sliding in front of him. Youth Olympic champion in 2016. And I'm sure if you go to the Olympic website, you can catch up with the beginning of the action. Opening ceremonies for the 2020 Youth Olympic Games were held in Lausanne, the main ceremony, and at the sliding centre in St. Moritz. So it will be monobob for boys and girls, skeleton for boys and girls as well, being held in St. Moritz, and of course luge. And in luge they got men's and women's singles and men's and women's doubles as well, or boys and girls.
I saw that for the first time this morning. I was looking at the schedule going, doubles, hang on a minute.
10 to go in La Plagne, France. Race 4 in the Skeleton World Cup for men. And Thomas Dukos, a medalist the last 3 times out on this track, in 10th place. He was tied after the first heat with rookie Yevgeny Rukoshwev to the 100th of a second. So all of that experience versus none of that experience. Who comes out on top here? Martin Haven and Jackie Narracott of Australia watching the action. Well, Jack's any sensible money right away goes on the experienced shoulders of Dukos, but
it's racing and you never know.
700s in front. This is going to be very tight. One mistake will give all of that away.
Looking good though, look nice and smooth. Keeping the sled under control.
Not many times I can think of in recent history where Thomas has been a second off the pace without a crash somewhere. He was 1.05 seconds off the front runners, or the leader in the first heat, and only 100th in front of Rukoshwev. I can't read this, could go either way. Then we wait for the clock, 2500s back. Wow.
It's at 15-16 again.
Yeah. Well, he started a fraction quicker, 5.90 compared to Rukoshwev, and 3/4 of the way down the track, there was nothing, not even a cigarette paper between them, and then gave away 1/4 of a second at the bottom. Well, the boys will have learned something from that.
Continue to slide off 15, a bit of a skid going into 16. And when it's that close, that's enough.
See the head there, steering into the corner, just keeping the toes off the ice.
Eye on 16.
Yeah,
just a bit of a brush.
A little flash of ice there. Was waiting for that to come into shot. So Yevgeny Rukoshwev guaranteed a top 10 finish. Now, what about another youngster, Vladislav Harris, another 20-year-old.
From Ukraine for Vladislav
20-year-old Ukrainian, former mixed martial arts fighter and powerlifter, was going to go, like his dad there, the coach, into strongman competitions, but got sidetracked into something that's not even remotely like pulling a jumbo jet with your teeth or Hercules stones. I have no idea how that transition happened. He just saw it and thought, yeah, that's for me. Atlas stones. 593 5.92 in the first heat. 5.93 is exactly what Rokoshwev started in, and he only had 700s in hand.
Feet out there, trying to get it a little bit earlier into 5. Manages to sneak it through there into 6. Great exit coming out of 6.
800s creeping in front.
Nice labyrinth, looking really smooth. Same out of 10. It's good, speed's building. Nice exit out of 12.
He's so relaxed on the sled, isn't he?
It's impressive. Great speed.
Properly fearless. 1700s up, building his advantage.
Big hit there coming into 17.
9th places in Calgary and Segulda, his career highs in World Cup racing. And this is to match that as he, wow, takes the lead by 500s. Nothing in it.
Very happy dad there, as he should be.
Well, he was 200ths of a second slower than Rokoshwev on that run. And he was, what did I say, 700s faster in the first heat. Not much between the two youngsters at all.
Very happy, good to see.
Well, that's going to at least match his career best 9th place, and he was in a 3-way tie for 7th, so he could yet move up.
I come diving down out of 16. Big hit into 17, but keeps it off the wall. See him bouncing around there.
Yeah, and that's a great indication of how relaxed he is when you're bouncing up and down the sled. You're not tight, not hanging on to it. So we have 8 sleds to go, including all 3 Korean athletes. Jung Seung-hui from Korea finished in the top 10 last week in Winterberg. Another young slider breaking into the World Cup squad. Another 20-year-old, only his 4th ever World Cup start. He was last year's Intercontinental Cup champion at a 5.65 compared to 5.72 start in the first heat. That's a cracking getaway.
Massive improvement coming.
400s away from the fastest starter.
Impressive.
Yeah, no kidding.
Bit of a clip coming into 6, but deals with it really well. See if he can get back on line through the labyrinth. High off 9. Seems to have it back under control now.
Nice looking lines from Jung Seung-hui. 4/10 up, building a big advantage. Don't forget, he was tied to the 100 with Heriskevich. Little late flop off
big
15.
skid.
More skids, and all the 4/10 has gone. Heriskevich 128, he's only got 126. He's going down, he's not going to hold on in front of the Ukrainian. He might drop behind Rokoshwev, he does. And he drops 100th behind Thomas Dukors. Wow, tight at the top.
All going well until 15.
Yeah.
And then
One of the 2 key parts, isn't it? 15-16 along with corner 6. We've seen lots of dramas in both of those danger zones. That, as somebody near to us would have once said, or very frequently said, the graveyard of time.
oh yeah.
Well, there's the big hit onto 15. I mean, that subtle is not, that fillet is not subtle. You hit it hard.
Yeah, and then hit middle, and then I think he just over controls it and nose down. That is a scary feeling.
He thought he was going straight up into the roof, and that's what that huge steer was about. Nevertheless, still a big run from Jung. Vladislav Heriskevich, our race leader, with our 3rd tied 7th place athlete, Felix Kaisinger at the line. So Felix had no advantage over Vlad in the first heat. Let's see what the Bavarian can produce. Can he stay in front of the Ukrainian? Well, he'll start quicker. Billy Whiz legs. 5.65. Heriskevich 5.93. But again, how many kilos do you reckon Kaisinger is giving away to Vlad? And that's going to have an effect, isn't it? 20?
Massive.
Yeah.
Massive effect.
But boy, the kid can slide.
Yeah. 5/10 up already. Coming out of 9 into 10. Bit of a wave there. Good.
Yeah, but he didn't fight it, did he? Just let it go. You're covering a couple more meters, but you're not slowing the sled down. Kaisinger's still in the lead, 4/10 up. Don't forget, though, that Jung Seung-hui was 4/10 up at this stage, then he got 15 wrong. This is not as bad, but it's not great. 1800s Speed 126 to 128 of Heraskevich. He's in real trouble here. Heraskevich might move up again. Who's going to be in front of the line? Oh, 800s. He will be no worse than 7th Vlad. Still a career high in 8th.
Dirk smiling.
Was that a smile from Dirk Matchett? Which makes me think, what is Felix Kaiseninger's career best? I didn't write it down this morning. Oh, he got a bronze medal in Lake Placid, didn't he? Of course. All right, so.
Still, not bad for your first season on World Cup.
Yep, not bad at all. I don't think he was doing Europa Cup in 2017 when they came here. Ooh, got buried there, didn't he?
Big steer there, trying to control some of the height. You can see him up above some of the bob lines. And then didn't trust it coming out of 16. Puts himself in a bit of a skid.
Woof. Yeah, everybody is absolutely gasping like a fish at the bottom of this track.
Bit of relief there too.
Felix Kaisinger leads, and 6 to go, including another tie for 5th position between Gongwen Zhang of China and Yun Sung Bin of Korea. And Andy Schmidt laying the sled on the ice, the world champion here on this track in 92. .587 getaway, 589 in the first heat. And what he lacks at the start, Jackie Narracott, he makes up for in his sliding ability.
Oh yeah, and only been sliding for a few years, so there's more to come out of him. Just misses that wall high in 6, but gets out of it okay. Letting go through 9.
He was 1900s ahead of Felix Kaisinger from the first heat. He's gone from 300s back to 2000s, now back down to a 10th.
Bit of a skid there. Clips the wall.
Not as quick as Kaisinger. Little quicker here than the Bavarian. I think he's, just about to say he's got enough.
Second.
I'm not sure if he has got enough now. And he hits the wall again, and that might be the end of it. Is he going to be in front, or will Kaisinger hold on and move up? 1400s, he manages to hang on. Again, having mass on your side helps.
But I'm not sure that there's much between those two boys in terms of weight.
Yeah. Probably 4 or 5 inches taller, 5 or 6 inches taller maybe, but he's pretty long and lean as well, Gong.
Breathing hard there.
Yeah.
Disappears behind the short wall like quite a few other sleds have done here. But again, just letting it run.
Yep.
Oh, almost head first into the wall.
Yeah, head planted. He knew the hit was coming. Just let it go. So Gong of China tied with Yun of Korea. And Sun Min Young not the top Korean in the first heat. He claimed victory by 500ths of a second last week in Winterberg. If he can win from here, 7900ths back, there's going to be catastrophe ahead, that's for sure.
Carnage.
And even the medals are nearly a quarter of a second away.
That's not entirely out of the question.
No. Came here in 2015 in the one heat race. So he has got prior, 564, another cracking start from the Korean.
Not as fast as some of the other boys we've seen through corner 4 there. But looking really smooth. Great exit out of 6.
That is top speed. Nobody's been quicker so far.
Nice line out of 9, it's 10 as well. This looks good.
Couple of
4
little
tenths already.
skids. Easing away from Kaisinger. 15 and 16 will decide where he's going to finish.
Just clips that entrance, but
Ooh.
and again into 16.
Yeah, that nudges him away. He stays
Low
very
line,
low in
wow.
the belly of the corner, doesn't he? And that wasn't by accident. When he got nudged away, he thought, I'm going to have to hang on to this. 2700's up. This could be in single digits at the line.
Tied.
It isn't in single digits. It's a dead heat. Well, they were tied after one run. They both did a 60.07. They have just both done a 60.22. You do the maths. They are tied after 2 runs down this track. There is nothing between Sun Min Young of Korea and Gongwei Chang of China.
Way too early on the 16 there, and then just cranks the steer coming around. He's a lot lower than every other sled we've seen through 16.
Yep.
And then just manages to stick it.
Well, you can deny the pressure so long, and eventually it's going to get you.
Exactly, yeah.
He didn't have anything to bring it down there. G-force just held him up on his line. So Gung and Yun in the leader's box. My nightmare, of course, is 2 Florians in. Gung, Yun and Kaising are the top 3 with 4 to go. Wearing the yellow jersey of our World Cup points leader, Axel Jung of Germany. Winner in Lake Placid, 4th in Lake Placid race 2, 3rd last week. Can he make it onto the podium here? He needs to find 0.2 of a second.
That start should help.
5:76, 6th quickest start. Now he's trying to beat both Yun and Gung, who are tied in the leader's box as they were tied for 5th place after the first of our 2 heats.
Nice exit out of 6, not as smooth as some of the ones we've seen.
He was really upset with himself after his first heat, wasn't he? Thought he got far too many things wrong. This is looking a little better, but is he trying too much steering now?
We'll find out shortly.
Yeah. Got a motor on down the bottom of the track. Speed is good, not as good as Sunbin Yun.
See how he handles 16.
2 kilometers an hour down in terms of top speed. He's not hanging on, is he?
Late in the 18 there.
Even if he's clean, I'm not sure he's going to have the pace on board. 200s behind. This is ridiculously tight. 200s behind the leaders. 3 sleds covered by 200s of a second. And the top 3 still to come. Gung and Yun could still take a medal. I don't think Axel will. The question is, the 2 men ahead of him yet to come are behind him in World Cup points. Will he still have the yellow jersey? Not sure that's going to happen. Saw the ice there, just clipped the wall a fraction.
And then
Too much control? I don't know, hard to tell. Right, 3 to go. And this could be the big story of the men's race. Kim Ji-soo of Korea. Don't forget, he was in a fantastic position after the first heat last week and just couldn't hold it together. He was in the silver medal position after heat 1 in Winterberg. He's in the bronze medal position here.
hopefully that experience from last week will carry over into this week and be a little bit more relaxed.
Didn't really load on the sled very cleanly, kind of undershot it a bit. 5:69, still a fast start.
And a good looking top so far.
He was 1800s ahead of Axel Jung, who has dropped behind. He was 2300s ahead of Gung and Yun.
It's looking good so far. Can he maintain it through 14 to 16?
A little bit of extra steering there. The gaps come down.
Rough off 12. Just clips that wall again.
125.5's good speed. Not as good as we've seen from the last couple who've been in the 26s. This is projected to be second place at the line. Behind, in fact, it'll be third because Gun and Yun are tied, and it is. Oh, he drops. Ah. All right, but he's so closer. Close. It was only the 11th fastest run of the heat, though.
Just too much control through 16. Possibly after seeing his teammates.
And that little hit from 15 as well. It's amazing how much speed you can wipe off in 15 and 16.
It's crazy. Bit of blood. Rough off 12, clips the wall coming into 13, and then high on the exit 15.
Boom. Yeah, lands on his shoulder as opposed to the sled even.
And then doesn't really dip below the short wall. Really low again coming into the second pressure.
Well, maybe that's what they were trying, to shortcut it like the final corner in Winterberg, but you're too far from the line to be carving your way that low, I think. So Gung and Yun are in the medals, joint bronze medalists at least. Now, can the winner of the last 3 World Cup races here do it again? Martins Ducors needs to find basically 6/10 over Alexander Tretyakov, and he's not going to find all of that at the start. 5:61 ties his first heat getaway. Tretyakov hold the start record here, just 300s quicker back in 2015.
Similar speed to everyone else coming down into 6th there.
Definitely seems to be steering from the hips a lot more than you would normally expect.
Yeah, you can actually see him steering for a change.
Yeah, I'm exactly right. Can actually see him steering for a change. I think that sums it up perfectly. Was 9200s over Gung and Yun, now down to 8700s. 127.8, that's the top speed apart from Vladislav Harris. It's a good shout from Martins Ducors. He will be the leader, he will be in the medals. Is it enough to take gold for a 4th consecutive time here? Wow, 59.67, just 700ths of a second slower than his first heat.
That just shows you how it's done.
Yeah, now only 3 men in the first heat broke the 60-second barrier. Only 1 so far in the second heat, and you're looking at him.
Head buried, trusting it, knowing full well where he's going. Bit of oscillation there, which is good. Just clips that wall. More ice spray.
Yeah.
Not sure how much of that wall's going to be left after this run.
Well, they got a good evening to repair the track ready for the bobsledders. Martins Ducors leads. He will be in the medals here, but will it be he or Alexander Tretyakov, who in the last 3 races took a bronze in 11-12, a silver in 12-13, and then a silver in the European Championships in 2014-2015. He has a huge lead. Any other track, any other day, 3200s, it's not even in question. But it's 5 years since they raced here. Can he put together another burner of a run?
Probably.
5:62 matches his fast start as well. Now, Jackie, it's about the steering. It's about racing Ducors man-to-man down the track.
Not quite as clean so far, but still building speed. Similar, rough exit out of 6 there and out of 7.
And this is where it can go away. Again, late off 8 and 9 into 10.
Bit of a skid, high in 11.
Down to 2900s. He's still got a big advantage. Speed was very good. 127.3. Very quick indeed at the bottom of the track. Still got a quarter second. Now out to 3/10. This is going to be the first gold medal for Alexander Tretyakov, I think, on this track. Don't have records back to 2002, but it is victory by 3700s from Alexander Tretyakov. A 59.62 slide. It's 3/10 slower than his first heat, but it is more than enough to win here. Well, 500s quicker than Martins in that run. That would have been enough if he didn't have that 3200s from the first heat as well.
Doesn't matter how you win it, as long as you win it.
Well, yeah, that's what Sunbin Young said last week. 500s of a second, yeah, whatever, I'm won, I'm happy.
Exactly.
But to win by 3700s, that is a huge advantage. Alexander Tretyakov claims victory in La Plagne. Martins Ducors, his string of wins here is broken. So he will have to wait at least another week for World Cup win number 52. But for Alexander Tretyakov, it is win number 16. And that is his 2nd gold of the season. He's now winning even-numbered races this year, it would appear.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
But he is still panting like a racehorse at the end of the Grand National, but what a run from Alexander Tretyakov. 2 blinding starts. Like Martins Ducors, checking out, using all of his experience to great effect.
Oh yeah, the experience wins more often than not, and today was a very clear example of that.
Those two a long way clear at the field. First to second, 37 hundredths. Second to third, 1.02 seconds. And Gung of China claims his first ever World Cup medal. Sun Bin-young, winner last year. In the medals again here, he takes his second medal of the season and his second in 5 days. But for Gung, the Chinese slider, that is a huge, huge result on a track, remind you, he has never seen before. We are 2 years out from the Olympics in Beijing. So big day for Gung Wenjiang, and particularly for the Chinese program and his coaches. That's just real vindication of the whole selection and training process and everything else. You know, his best result up until now, he actually did on his debut in Lake Placid back in December 2017, the first time that he started a World Cup race, and now his first World Cup medal. So huge day for him.
Yeah, and it shows that his driving's going in the right direction. To be in the mix with those guys is huge.
Well, listen, he was tied for bronze with the reigning Olympic champion. Not a bad day when you're tied with Yun of Korea.
Take it any day of the week.
Yeah. Axel Jung in 5th position, loses the World Cup lead. I'm pretty sure my maths isn't great, as everybody knows, but I think Alexander Tretyakov will take... Yeah, he'll take the lead. Oh, no, he won't. I think Martins Dukos will take the lead. Tretyakov will be just behind him, because Martins Dukos was only 5 points behind Axel Jung. So Dukos with a 3rd silver medal this season. The missing one was last week, where he was in 4th place in Winterberg. But again, lots of experience at the top of the pile. Sun Bin-young is there as well. And Germany's Felix Kaisinger should be in the mix as well. He finished in 7th place here. Kim Ji-soo in 6th, after being potentially in the medals after the first heat.
Still a very good result.
Yeah, good result. He's getting closer and closer and closer, and his runs are getting very consistent. He's getting that second heat average up a little bit this season. That's going to make the difference to him. And he needs to do it soon before it starts to become a thing, where he has a great first heat and is then almost expecting to give positions away. Because at some stage, he's going to be back in the medals again, and he needs to hang on to that.
With that start, there's every chance it'll be next week.
Yeah, very high chance indeed. Race 4 of the BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup in Plagne in France. And with his 3rd silver medal this season, Martins Dukos moves into the points lead ahead of Alexander Tretyakov with 2 wins this season. Axel Jung, who came here wearing the leader's yellow jersey, moves down to 3rd. Sun Bin-young and Felix Kaisinger remain in 4th and 5th positions. And a first medal for Gung of China jumps him up into 10th place. Where did he start the day? Trying to find him in the points. He was in 13th, so a big climb up the order for him. So a big, big result. Jackie Naricot with extraordinary starting. Both Martins Dukos and Alexander Tretyakov were going to be the men to watch, but Tretyakov, his first heat really sowed the seeds of that victory.
It was just catch me if you can. And even with a slightly more rough second run, the 3 turns, it was always going to be hard pressed for Martins to try and catch up.
I think Alex knew that he had that time in the bank, so he could be a little more loose and a little more flexible. And in the end, he wins. Martins Dukos in 2nd, a tie for 3rd between our Olympic champion Sun Bin-young there with the black top, and Gung Wenjiang of China. The first Chinese medal in skeleton sliding at the World Cup level, and a first World Cup medal for Gung himself. So fantastic for the Chinese program and for Gung, and a big win for Alexander Tretyakov. And expect to see fast starters come to the fore in the shortest track on the planet in Innsbruck, Austria next week. We'll see you back then for more skeleton action. For Jackie Naricot, thanks to you for making your World Cup debut as a commentator. We'll see you back on the track then. From the IBSF TV crew here, Martin Haven saying au revoir from France. Bobsleigh comes up on Saturday, the women in the 2-man, and Sunday with the 4-man. We'll see you then. Bye for now.